one of the most well-known guilds around the world. SCO originally established the guild with his real-life friends on June 5th, 2005, and it was called Necht at the time on the Sylvanas server. Initially, they engaged in popular activities at the time, such as the Torren Mill vs South Shore PvP, but once SCO and several guild members reached level 60, they began focusing on dungeon runs, and as the guild's activities increased, their ambitions grew. SCO decided to rename the guild at this point to Method, reflecting a more serious commitment to becoming a top-tier raiding guild. The name Method was chosen for its meaningful connotation, symbolising their structured and strategic approach to raiding. Within Vanilla WoW, assembling enough members for a 40-man raid posed a significant challenge. SCO identified another guild on the server which he knew of called Might, and knew one of their officers. Eventually, Might and Method merged, with SCO leading the unified group to become the greatest raiding group on the server Sylvanas. Together, they conquered Molten Core and Onyxia's Lair. Having established dominance on their server, the guild sets its sights on climbing the European and world rankings, aiming to become a top-tier premier raiding guild on a larger stage. Method has consistently attracted some of the best players in the world over the years. In 2007, SCO partnered with Sasha Stevens, becoming co-owner of Method. Shortly after, Just Wait joined the guild and became a crucial player in both Method and the broader raiding scene, but he is now a member of Echo. In the middle of 2009, Roger Brown joins Method and remained with the guild for over a decade, before transitioning to Echo. Throughout its history, Method has welcomed many notable members and continues to attract top talent, maintaining its position as a top raiding guild. But Method has faced many controversies that have somewhat overshadowed their achievements of late. However, credit goes to SCO and his team for addressing the issues by removing those responsible and successfully rebuilding Method into a guild competitive in the world title race in 2024. Method is more than a raiding team though. It has been an influential and highly successful esports organisation over many years. The guild has fielded a successful Rocket League team, World Champion Mythic Dungeon Invitational, arena teams, and much more, showcasing its versatility and its impact in the esports community. Method have achieved 12 World First raid clears and 40 World First boss clears. In Vanilla WoW, Method focused on dominating their server, achieving server first kills in the Molten Core and Onyxia's Lair. Moving into the Burning Crusade, Method continued to compete for server first kills, and started gaining global recognition with notable performances in Karazhan, Gruul's Lair and Magtheridon's Lair. Method achieved a world's second kill on Lady Vash. Due to speculation and controversy surrounding Nihilum's world first kill, as I've previously discussed in my other video on Nihilum, Method referred to this achievement as the legit world first kill, leaving it open to the interpretation of the community. Method concluded TBC with high rankings in the Black Temple and the Sunwell Plateau, including a world second kill on Kill Jaden. The Wrath of the Lich King expansion launches, Method consistently achieve high rankings, however established and dominant guilds like Insidia and in Paragon lead the raiding scene. As they enter into the Cataclysm expansion, Method secures their world first boss kill in the Blackwind Descent on Magmar, followed by world first kills on Archimedes and Chimeron. Despite this success, they could not surpass Paragon for the overall world first title on this raid. Throughout Cataclysm, Method has maintained their position within the top 10 guilds globally. They achieved another world first kill on Balerock in Firelands, and finished the expansion in a strong competitive position. As the Mist of Pandaria expansion begins, Method started its rise to overall domination in the raiding scene. In the first raids of the Mist of Pandaria, Mogushan Vaults, Method secured the world first raid clear by defeating the final boss, Will of the Emperor, just 3 days after the raid's release. The second raid, Heart of Fear, Method engaged in a fierce competition with Blood Legion for the world first title, but despite their efforts, Blood Legion claimed the world first title. The third raid of the expansion, Terrace of Endless Spring, Method and Blood Legion again battle for the world first clear. Method triumphed though, achieving the world first kill of the Shara of Fear 5 days after the raid's release. The penultimate raid of MOP, my second favourite raid of all time, Throne of Thunder, with a lot of people's favourite raid boss ever, Lei Xin. But Raiden is actually the last boss, and Method achieved this kill and the world first title. The final raid of the MOP expansion, Siege of Orgrimmar, Blood Legion initially led by defeating the first 10 bosses. However, Method ultimately demonstrated their dominance by securing the world first kill of Garrosh Hellscream, solidifying their position at the pinnacle of raiding. Method are now riding high from their success in MOP, but Paragon makes a surprising return, securing the world first kill of the first raid, High Maul, in the Warlords of Draenor expansion. However, on the second raid of the expansion, Blackrock Foundry, Method returned to their winning ways and achieved a world first kill of Blackhand, one of the guild's favourite bosses ever. The final raid of the expansion, Hellfire Citadel. Method's close competitor, Blood Legion, has retired from competitive raiding. However, a new guild, Limit, emerged on the world stage scene. But Method demonstrates their raiding prowess by achieving the world first title in the Hellfire Citadel, defeating 6 of the 13 bosses first, and concluding the Warlords of Draenor expansion as the top raiding guild in the world. The Legion expansion launches, a wonderful expansion, one of my favourite expansions of all time, but raid-wise could prove to be very easy for the top raiding guilds. The first raid of the expansion, the Emerald Nightmare, Method achieves world second on this, finishing behind the European guild, Exorcus. The second raid in the expansion, Trial of Valor, Method secures the world first title, defeating Helya within 3 days of the raid's release. The third raid of the expansion, the Nighthold raid, this was the first true test for the raiding guilds. Exorcus again achieves the world first title on the penultimate raid in Legion, the Tomb of Sargeras. This proved to be a very difficult test for the top guilds, but Method pushed hard and showed its intelligence and tenacity to achieve the world first title with 654 wipes. The final raid in Legion, Antorus, the Burning Throne. Limit is well and truly on the scene at this point, but Method cements itself as a dominant force in WoW, achieving the world first title in 320 wipes. As Legion expansion comes to a close, the Battle for Azeroth expansion launches, and this expansion marked a pivotal moment in the world of raiding, with Method at the forefront of transforming the raiding scene to an esports spectacle. There have been other events in the past that involve guilds like Insidia, but this was on a new level, focused solely on raiding. The world first races were streamed on Twitch, complete with commentators providing unprecedented insight into strategies of the top players. This innovative approach garnered significant attention and engagement from the community. In the first raid of BFA, Uldia, Method faced considerable pressure as the first guild to fully embrace streaming their world first race attempts. They rose to the challenge though, securing the world first title by defeating Gihun. The second raid in the BFA expansion, Battle of Dazara Law, and the second world first raiding event, which was even larger in scale compared to the first one, Method and Limit engaged in a fierce competition, but Method ultimately achieves the world first title and killing Jaina Proudmoore. The third raid in BFA, a small raid with only 2 bosses, the Crucible of Storms. This ends up being the longest world first title race in BFA, and Method falls short to the guild Pieces and achieves the world second. The fourth raid of the expansion, the Eternal Palace, and the third live raid event occurs. This event was a 24-hour event partnered with other large guilds for continued coverage. This was a very exciting race, with both top guilds at the time, Limit and Method, streaming their progress. I remember going back and forth between them, seeing who was gaining the upper hand. This has to be one of the closest ends to a raid, with Method defeating Queen Azara and getting the world first title 8 hours before Limit. The final raid of the BFA expansion, Nyalotha, and the race to the world first event happened again, bigger than ever, and this time Complexity Limit used an out of raid coaching method and dominated the raid, which gave the US its first world title in 8 years. Method ended up finishing in a respectable second to close out BFA. As 2020 starts, Method is facing another challenging period in its lifespan, with multiple allegations of misconduct against mainly one member of its team, Method Josh. During this period of mistrust and anger, many prominent members of the team leave, and I will not go into these allegations, but you can conduct your own research. Many guilds would fold and disband during turbulent times, but SCO and the Method team aim to rebuild. They want to rebuild Method from the core, the raid team, and was on a heavy recruitment phase during the back end of 2020, recruiting a lot from the community and from the guild Reason. Method had to approach this rebuild in a methodical way, introducing a rigorous screening process, so all the new members are at the values and standards that Method and everyone should follow. SCO and Method, after everything that has happened, has come through this at the other side, and the deep-rooted diseases have been removed, and the core values of SCO and his team have triumphed. I am very excited to see Echo, Limit and Method fighting it out within the War Within. Well, after all that, it's been a crazy start to the Shadowlands expansion, and the first raid of Shadowlands begins Castle Nathria. Method are finding their feet again, but with all the changes to their roster, they finish in a respectable 7th place worldwide on the first raid. The second raid of the expansion, the Sanctum of Domination, and Method are climbing their way back up the leaderboard to finish in a world 5th. The third raid of the expansion, the Replica of the first ones. Method don't achieve any world first kills in this raid, but are consistent and achieve world second. This could be the most competitive world first raiding has ever been in the history of WoW. The Dragonflight expansion launches, and Method are pushing hard, being consistent and aiming to get back to the pinnacle of the raiding scene. They end up finishing 3rd in every raid of Dragonflight and give themselves a tremendous podium to push off from going into this War Within expansion. The first raid of War Within has now concluded, and Method achieved a respectable 3rd place, closely behind Limit and Echo in 1st and 2nd. No guild has achieved as much as Method in the terms of world firsts and personal accomplishments, and no guild has contributed as much to the community as them. With the amount of money raised through their charity organisations, through their many live events, their guides, detailed description of raid bosses, and support given to the community. From 2005 to 2024, they have had massive periods of pure domination and have fought against every top guild from every generation, and they are still here within the top 3 guilds in the world. Despite facing controversies and challenges, Method's legacy as a pioneering and influential guild in the World of Warcraft and the whole esports team continues to endure, and we all can't wait to see what happens next.